Jordan Fraser. So we're going to be watching a whole lot of rain that passed through the area, leaving us with a whole lot of rain. Okay, so this is the last 24 hours of rainfall. We are going to continue to see more rain. Yeah, it's getting a little rough out there, at least in terms of flooding conditions and the flood waters. It's getting better in terms of current conditions. Temperatures are heating back up. Sun is starting to pop out in some places, but we still saw so much rain that even if the sun pops out for, a couple of hours, it's not going to make a large scale impact. So this is what the radar can actually see across the area in terms of, well, how much rain we can get just from the radar estimates. Unfortunately, it kind of follows along this line where we don't have any kind of information about Presidio and Big Bend, mainly because the radar just can't reach that far out there. Our radar itself is located right in between Midland and Odessa at the airport, Midland International Airport. You ever see kind of like a white soccer ball? That's the actual radar itself. So unfortunately, we can't get the absolute best kind of data, but I can get you some solid information about the Permian Basin. I want to highlight Texas 137 in particular, right in between Lenora and Lamesa. It has been one of the heaviest hit areas in terms of rainfall over the last 24 hours. You're seeing a bit of that yellow on there. That's between 8 to 10 inches of rain over just the last day. Now, Midland and Odessa still getting a kind of a mix of that blue and that green. That's going to be about half an inch to an inch, so it's still a solid amount. Big Spring actually closer to about 1 to maybe 3 inches of rainfall. Okay, that's not too bad either. We could always use a little bit of rain. Andrews, I know you guys always want some more rain. Hey, how about a solid inch of rain? Seminole, a little bit on the lesser side, but you kind of have these very rural areas or areas just outside of the cities where you're getting plenty of rain. Hey, we could always use some more rain. We desperately needed it, but unfortunately, we just got it all at once. And that's the biggest problem with our weather pattern right now. Why do we have this entire weather pattern? Well, I'll get to that in just a minute, but notice how much nicer the roads are out there. Let me go ahead and rewind that a bit so you can see. Currently over downtown Odessa, kind of looking at the courthouse. Yeah, or this was looking toward the courthouse. You actually see a little bit of the bull in the corner there. But hey, we're right off of 4th Street, and it's actually decently dry. Traffic is moving along at a brisk pace. No kind of delays right now. But the same could not be said just a couple hours ago. Number of water rescues, a number of people stalling out their vehicles and driving through some of those flood waters. So right now it seems to be a bit better, but you still got to watch out for some of that standing water across the area. That's why, hey, it looks pretty good out there though. 80 degrees. We got up to about 81 earlier today. It feels a little bit warmer. Mainly it's that humidity. Yeah, you ever go to a coastal city, you go to a beach, you go out to Houston, you go to anything right along the Gulf, even the Pacific or the Atlantic. Hey, it gets humid. That increases the feels like temperature. That's exactly what we're seeing. Southerly winds sustained 11 miles an hour, so not too bad, not too bad. We still have that flood watch. Look, no more flash flood warnings. The only area I have that still has some type of flood warning is going to be right along the Rio Grande. And that's because the Rio Grande was getting so full of water, it was spilling out of the lake or the river edges. I don't know what those are called. I'm not a geologist. Nonetheless, hey, flood watch still in effect for the entirety of our region until 1 a.m. tonight. All right, well, technically Friday night, but you know what I mean. So we got a couple more hours left on this flood watch. This flood watch also extends as far east as San Antonio, just the outskirts. So a lot of this rain is going to be kind of moving out in that easterly flow, going farther and farther east once we get more of that westerly wind kind of making an impact. That's kind of what I'm hoping to see as we head into the later parts of this evening. This stuff kind of pushing its way farther and farther out of our area, because earlier today most of the rain was kind of moving up. Now it's moving out to the west or to the east. That is good stuff. We want this all to move outside of the area. We have had too much rain lately. We don't want to have to deal with any more of that flooding. I know this is great for our drought, but, you know, do you really want to get all of this rain all at once? Hey, it's stopping us from implementing any kind of burn bans. Midland County was about to issue a burn ban. Then they saw how much rain we've been getting for much of the week. And they went ahead and delayed that issuance. So that's good. Let's zoom in on this line of showers and storms. Nothing severe, but some areas do have some very heavy downpours as well as a little bit of that lightning too. I'm talking mainly Balmorhea, Orla, and Pecos. We're seeing a bit of that shower thunderstorm. Even along Fort Davis, this stuff is going to be kind of moving almost like in a squall line pattern, but it's not going to actually be a squall line. So let's kind of get an idea of this. You could still see some of this stuff potentially reaching as far as Fort Stockton within about another hour to an hour and a half, depending on how quickly this stuff is moving. It's moving right now on the loop at about a 2-hour pace. So there is that. Not too terrible. That's certainly some good news. The best part is we have no more of those flash flood warnings. So, hey, we don't have to be too concerned. Staying nice and clear, we're getting a little bit of that sunshine across Penwell, Odessa, Midland, even heading up toward Lamesa. Lamesa getting a little bit of that sunshine right now. Let's go ahead and actually pause that. Garden City, Crane, Rankin, even Ira and maybe Fort Stockton seeing a little bit of that sun. The more sun we get before it goes down, the better off we're going to be in terms of a lot of this stuff beginning to evaporate. All right. Over the next couple of hours, still going to see just a lot of that rainfall potential hanging out to the west, but a lot of cloud cover lingering around. That means temperatures overnight tonight are just not really going to be changing a whole lot. But I still have those lingering rain chances into the overnight hours. 71 degrees, about 40% coverage. Mainly it's going to be for our west, but of course the models could be completely wrong, and we're going to continue to watch it. I did only put kind of a so-so for your sparkler forecast tomorrow, and that's because while I'm not looking at widespread showers, I am still looking at a bit of those lingering showers. Now, it's not going to be very widespread, and it's just going to be a little bit damp out there. But of course, the models could be completely wrong. Good example. Today, they were completely wrong. We weren't projecting near as much rainfall. And I mean everyone, like all the models, meteorologists, National Weather Service, you name it. It's part of the job to be wrong. I get it. It's a funny joke. But in all reality, this came as a rather surprise. So here is that future track through the rest of the night. Most of this stuff is going to be hanging along much of our western counties and maybe pushing into the Permian Basin. Seminole getting another solid round of rainfall. And then we go into tomorrow morning. Notice how there's much lower chances for those showers and thunderstorms. Good stuff. Then we go into the afternoon and evening. Let me actually back it up just a little bit. All right, we're looking at potential rainfall along maybe Monahans, Odessa, Midland, 5, 6 o'clock. Then it starts to kind of push its way down into Upton County, out toward Big Lake. Big Lake getting a little bit of stuff possibly around 10 o'clock. Ozona and Crockett County getting a little bit right around that time as well. So if you have any kind of fireworks displays or you're shooting off any fireworks, you got the kids with the sparklers, just keep that in mind. A stray shower cannot be ruled out. So relatively good compared to everything we've seen this week, but it's also better than last year. Last year was a little bit on the rougher side. All right, much of your Saturday. Maybe you want to go to any kind of event on your Saturday. Early morning, looking solid. Going into the afternoon, still pretty solid, but then we get just kind of a couple stray showers out towards San Angelo, maybe even I-10. That is actually going to push its way through, maybe even Fort Stockton, Ira Ann, McCamey, all the way down toward Dryden before kind of fizzling out